Anyone building a new system has a lot of decisions that they have to make. And one of the most important decisions is what existing systems are you going to exploit versus what new systems do you need to create. So I'll give you a practical example. Let's say you want to build a new website. You could start from scratch. You could start with an HTML file and CSS. The larger and more complex a site you need, the less likely that solution is actually going to work for you. So you start thinking about a website builder, a CMS, something like that. You could go with WordPress. It'll get you up and running fast, but it's very opinionated and comes with a lot of overhead, both on the front end and on the back end. And this is all fine if the overhead is stuff that you want for your site. If it isn't, you're going to spend a lot of time trimming the fat in order to increase the performance on the front end and reduce the cognitive overhead on the back end. On the other end of the spectrum, you could go with something like Eleventy, but you have to opt into everything. You want responsive images, got to include the module for that. You want pagination, got to set that up. Let's say you decide on WordPress. You still have a lot more decisions to make. Do you want to roll your own theme? Or are you going to buy one that gets you 80% of the way there? Use a child theme to accomplish more overrides? What about plugins to accomplish the functionality that you're going for? Are you going to write your own? Are you going to buy one? Are you going to use a free one and try to customize it the way that you need it to work? I could go on and on, but suffice it to say, this decision happens a lot at all different levels, and not just for websites. Should you build a custom front-end framework for your organization, or is Tailwind good enough? In order to answer that question, you have to think through, is the overhead that it takes to maintain a custom framework, is that worth it for the value that it'll bring the organization? And the answer to that question leads you back to questions of goals and strategy. I think sometimes this can be pretty abstract, so I'll give you some examples. Let's say your organization or your team is fairly new and you quickly want to get to market to test out some value proposition hypothesis that you've got. Getting to good enough in that case might mean that inheriting an existing system is the best path to take. If, on the other hand, the value proposition of your organization is rooted in being markedly different from your competitors, then maybe good enough isn't good enough. In that case, creating a custom framework or platform or set of tools might actually set you apart from your competitors and could be a really valuable asset for your organization. If your value proposition is based on reliability and consistency, then maybe an existing framework makes a lot of sense. But what happens if that framework stops being supported? So again, you have to think through those trade-offs and, more importantly, be able to articulate them to stakeholders. The big takeaway is this. I think one of the most important skills of the modern digital worker is the ability to think through and articulate effectively the trade-offs between the value of inheriting an existing system, adopting an existing system, and the limitations or risks that come with that versus the complexity of building and maintaining your own system.